This is Keith Naylor. Everybody is actually familiar with me, so which is nice. I'm up at Stubby Lee Community Greenhouses, and I'm with the art group there. Today, and this is part of my fine art degree at Blackburn College, I'm going to be presenting or running a workshop on cyanotypes, and this is something that I did a lot of and became a major part of my practice last year. Part of this year is now going beyond the studio and is giving back, and one of the things I want to do in the future is deliver workshops. So these are my guinea pigs today and I'll be running hopefully a productive workshop. We hopefully will go on to do a couple more depending on the interest and where it sort of takes us. But today is really an introductory to the cyanotype process. Last week I did talk a little bit about the history of it. It was developed by Herschel back at the start of the 19th century, and he was primarily looking at it. He was basically a polymath. He did all sorts of things. He was interested in science, photography, astronomy, biology, as was his entire family. His father, he was one that discovered infrared. His daughter was well, his entire family sort of went into science, but his daughter was one of the first females to lecture at Merton College in Cambridge. So the whole family is very, very scientific. But this is more art. So it was developed, the first one was really recorded in botany, because they could produce a very accurate representation or a silhouette of plants, and it was a lot cheaper than employing a very fine artist to record in detail what was being discovered at the time. So that's a little bit about the background. But one other interesting point, the term blueprint, everybody probably familiar, it comes from this. It was originally one of the purposes that they put it to was a replication of engineering drawings and architectural drawings. So they draw in pen and ink, the original. They would then actually soak it in oil to make it translucent, and then they could produce copies using this method, and that it was a blueprint. So that's one of the backgrounds of how that sort of comes in. I'll pass this around briefly. She only has a few. That's Anna Atkins. She was, Herschel was the father of this method. She was definitely the mother. She basically went around and recorded a vast amount of the species in Britain, and it was really for scientific purposes, recording and categorising. But those are some of our sort of prints in there. And as you'll see, hopefully, when you have a quick look at those, they'll be similar, ours will be better, to the prints that we're going to be producing today of some of the plants that we find around Stubby Lee. So those I showed you last week were two examples, very simple, but I think very effective. Just from the scientific point of view, one of the key things was that it was an exact replication of the size. So you can take measurements of that and know that that comes off that plant, and you could have that blown up to a massive thing and be looking for the wrong thing, but that's one of the reasons it's an exact replication. So last week we went and collected a lot of samples, and after you've gone and let them dry out. Now I'm going to apologise here because I might have let them dry out for a little bit too long. So we'll have a big reveal in a minute. And some of them sort of started curling up. It's just capturing them at the right time. If there is problematic, we can probably, because it's so warm and has been, we can potentially go and press some fresh ones and just flatten them. But we'll have a little look. So I think the next stage will, I'd better just go through all the bits here that I've got in front of me, and they're important. So the basic process is you're taking two chemicals, I'll mix those together, put them out in dishes. We'll be then coating paper. Now you've got to use quite decent quality, quite strong paper. Watercolour paper is ideal. The reason being is that you've got to wash these afterwards, and a lot of paper will just fall apart and you just put it into water. I've tested both of these and they work. The other thing is the nature of the paper. Some watercolor paper has the coating on, which this won't stick to, but these don't, so they should work okay. I've tested them. In terms of applying it, the best thing to use is a sponge brush, because you're looking for a very even application. You don't need to be, it doesn't need to spend ages sort of thing, but you just want a nice even application of that. And it only requires quite a thin application, just as long as it's covered. It doesn't matter about the depth. In fact, it'll take longer for it to dry out if you've all soaked it, but you just want enough to get in there. So once we put it on the paper, we'll be drying those quite quickly, because light is an issue, because as soon as it's coated, the light will start developing what's on there. UV light, as I said, doesn't react particularly well. It will over time, if you leave it. If we took it outside, particularly on a day like this, it would start developing sort of straight away. But you've got several minutes to sort of work, so it shouldn't be a problem. So we'll be clamping them, and I've got a frame for everybody. We'll be using these for the actual clamping them, and I'll get onto that in a little while. But I've got a frame for everybody, a full size, and we'll be hopefully mounting them. So I'll get round to doing a little bit on composition. So you're only looking in a quite small area. Some of the pieces were lovely, but they were just too big to really sort of frame. I have got some larger A3, which we may come on to sort of next week. So I think at this stage, the best thing is we'll have a big reveal and see what we've got in terms of materials.